And let's just get settled into a nice, comfortable seated posture. You can have both feet flat on the floor, about a hips width apart, and align your shoulders with your hips and your ears with your shoulders. Imagine your spine is this a beautiful string of pearls of light that stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. Just imagine you're lengthening your spine. Leave some space in between the vertebrae. And then you go to the crown of the head and just release any tension in your scalp. And then just notice the flow and effect from doing that. You know, what happens to your face? It just relaxes. Release any tension in the forehead, the eyebrows, the back of the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, and the jaw, back of the tongue, the neck. And allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. And relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And be aware of the sensations of a breath as you inhale and exhale. The nostrils, the chest cavity, the belly. And be aware of any sound in your environment, just allowing those sounds to be there. And just try not to follow them with the mind. And then just notice, you know, maybe there's something you can smell also. Just allow everything to be there, and then just check in with your mind this evening. Some of you will know it's morning, some of you will know it's the middle of the day. And just see how you're doing. Put some space in between the thoughts. And you'll notice that the how you're feeling this evening is, likely to be different than this morning, maybe even yesterday. So that's kind of a hopeful thought, just to understand that whatever is in the mind is temporary. It's not necessary. It doesn't really say who you are as a person. Who you are is this pure, clear stuff. And this is just things on top. And so this meditation we're doing this evening is, partly to purify. So be curious about what's in the mind and just sort of, where'd that come from? An objective. Remembering to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones. We do have some people in our life who are just really very, very precious, and it's sort of a gift that they're there. And some people just kind of wander in and out of our life, friends, and they're just kind of there at certain times, and they're not the others. And then we have people we just really try and stay away from. We don't like them much. And then there's strangers. And these people are all equal in three different ways. And the first way is that they all want to be happy just like you and me. They don't want to suffer just like you and me. We all try and avoid that. And they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So we think we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So I'm sort of always thinking about people I know who are in this room who have certain, physical difficulties. And Kenny, I just wanted to mention Kenny, our guy in Belgium, who's part of this group but doesn't come because of the time, and he does it on YouTube. His father is undergoing chemotherapy, so mention him, and then of course Lou undergoing tests and things. I also had an interesting experience last night. As I was kind of getting ready for bed, I heard a bit of kerfuffle around the back of the shed, and so my cottage actually is probably a shed, but anyway, and there's a little bit of space just at the very back of the shed where the bathroom is, and there's maybe about a foot between, that area and the fence, and then kind of the owners have stuck quite a bit of wood and bits and pieces behind there. And I heard what sounded like barking. I'm like, oh no, their dog Bodhi's got stuck. And it just sounded like this mournful, trying to bark, but not really able to. It was a lot of noise and a lot of kerfuffle, and then some kind of screeching sort of sound. I'm like, oh no, this is some animal's got stuck back there. And I'm like, how can I go to sleep knowing that there's some little being struggling behind? So I got out of bed, I was in my pajamas, and I kind of wandered around with my torch. And this thing was in a panic. So I just stopped there and I shone my torch on the ground, or sort of in there and then also on the ground, so I could see what was going on. And these two little eyes looked out at me. And I just said, come on now, you can come out of there. Om mani padme hum. I tried to speak to it softly, so it actually stopped freaking out at that point. And then I saw it was a raccoon, so they can be a little bit aggressive, so I was a bit nervous. So I decided just to walk back and leave it to itself. But all night I was kind of thinking about this thing. I'm like, God, I hope you're not hurt. Did you manage to get out? But I didn't hear anything. And then, when I got home this afternoon, I went back and checked, and it was obviously gone. I think it had gone last night. But, we don't, as I also mentioned in the, I think we did the Precious Human Rebirth, we don't realize how fortunate we are. So this little creature, had kind of got himself stuck. He was upside down and inside out, and it was dark, and I think it had lost kind of where he was in space and was completely freaking out. So, these little animals don't have, someone to come and help them. So there's always brings in my mind, we just have so much gratitude for the lives that we do have. So thinking about all the little forest creatures around here who don't necessarily have this beautiful vet to go and talk to when they get sick, or human beings to feed them regularly. So we think we don't want to be reborn like that. That's not really a rebirth that's useful for us. Unless you're, of course, a bodhisattva and you've decided that's what you want to do. But for most of us, we want either a precious human rebirth or a rebirth in a pure realm. So then we do this Vajrasattva practice. And I was watching a video of Lama Yeshe last night, and he's just constantly emphasizing the importance of this practice. So I felt really happy to see that. So anyway, we start with this power of regret. Now I've talked so long, we're running out of time. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And we think of specific actions of our body and our speech. And then the reason we want to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. And we know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering, and also regret any anger and attachment and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we rely upon Buddha Vajrasattva, who we see as a doctor who has these methods that we can use to purify. So we're not necessarily needing Buddha to forgive us. We're looking for medicine to heal ourselves. So you imagine Buddha Vajrasattva on the crown of your head, and you can imagine this, white Buddha in the mind. This is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So in all the sitting in the way that I talk about, every night, sort of legs crossed in the Vajra position, and then this beautiful face that's very accepting and welcoming, and his arms across at his heart, left underneath the right, left holding a bell, right holding a Vajra. And they're crossed like that represents, enlightenment. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So now, in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you have harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, particularly because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime in the future. So then we come to this power of remedy, and this is the medicine doing the practice of purification and visualization and mantra recitation. So you imagine the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And this arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Triyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hom Pe Om Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anorakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me, sitam triyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe, vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita, jita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa sabasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam triyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta me boa sabasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam triyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe. So be delighted that any harm you've done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and imagine there's no way you could do anything other than benefit others now with your body. And now our speech, and Vajrasattva very compassionately, very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Jita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha ha ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hom pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Trita me boa, Sutokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anurakta me boa, Sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe. So again, feel really happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra. And this arcs around and enters your crown as and as it hits your heart chakra, as instantly as when you walk into a dark room and flick on the switch, the light comes. So here the same. The moment the light hits your heart, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, your attachment and neediness and bitterness and grudges and depression and resentment and jealousy and anxiety, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita jita meboa sutukaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa savasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya setva a hum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita Jida meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anurakta meboa, sabasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me, sitam shriyam guru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya setva a hum pe. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita, Jida meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anurakta meboa, sabasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified, and think that there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of the imprints of negativity of our body, speech, and mind. And this time imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar. So the nectar flows down and pushes out all the negativity of the body. And then it flows up, pushing out all the negativity of the speech. And then it kind of like the light comes this time and blasts all the negativities of the mind, the delusions. And in this way, it happens all at the same time. It's all quite a lot happening there. Eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita Jida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anurakta meboa sabasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita Jida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa savasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita Jida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sabasidi Mimpiata Sawa Kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan, Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hom Pe. Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta Meboa Sabasidi Mimpiata Sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hom Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sabasidi Mimpiata Sawakama Sita me, Sitam Triyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan, Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hom Pe. Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasafa Dina Patita, Jida meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sabasidi Mimpiata Sawakama Sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hom Pe. Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sabasidi Mimpiata Sawakama Sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So now feel completely purified, and there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve and the fourth and final step in this purification process. It's really crucial because here is where we need to make a decision for anything to happen. And without making a decision, we're just going to keep repeating our same old habits. Habit energies, as one of my teachers called it. So rejoice in your efforts for coming along to this practice. And then think about something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. And then Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Lamazopa Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. So in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And here's our chanting the names of Manjushri. O omnipresent Lord, for my well-being, with due concern for me and for my sake, that I may reach complete awakening upon the basis of illusion's net, and for the sake of every living being sunk deep into the mud of ignorance, their thoughts disturbed by various afflictions, so they may obtain the highest fruit. May you, the most supreme awakened one, blessed one with the world's guru and teacher, who knows the great Samaya's reality, aware of wishes and abilities. Okay, let's just have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, for the swift return of all of your, not for Lamazopa Rinpoche's unmistaken reincarnation, the swift discovery, and then for all of your own teachers, and then of